You know that moment when you're speaking English and you just freeze? You're trying to figure out if you should say much or many. It's probably one of the most common little trip-ups for learners. But today, we are going to solve that for good.
It's such a classic problem, isn't it? You're in the middle of a sentence, trying to talk about a quantity of something, and your brain just hits a little roadblock. If that's you, don't worry. You are so not alone in this.
But here's the really good news. There's one super simple rule at the heart of all of this, and once you see it, the whole puzzle just clicks into place. I promise, you'll never be confused by it again. So let's unlock it together.
And here it is, the golden rule. Honestly, it all comes down to asking yourself one simple question. Can you count it? The entire difference between much and many is all about understanding countable versus uncountable nouns. That's the key.
Okay, so first up, we've got countable nouns. And just like the name says, these are things you can literally count, one by one. You know, one book, two books, one idea, five ideas. The big giveaway is that they have a plural form. You can stick an S on the end of most of them. Just think about it for a sec. We can count dogs, right? One dog, two dogs. Same deal for donuts, computers, or poems. Even a word like people is countable. It's just the plural of person. Each one of these is a separate, distinct thing you can point to and count.
All right, now let's flip the coin and look at uncountable nouns. These are things we think of as a whole, like a single mass or a concept. You can't just put a number in front of them, and they pretty much never have a plural form.
For instance, we never say one money or two monies, right? We count the dollars or the coins, but the idea of money is a single concept. It's the exact same thing with water. You can count bottles of water, but not water itself. And you'll see food, perfume, and milk all follow that exact same logic.
So here it is. This is the entire rule in a nutshell. If you can count it, like apples, you use many. If you can't count it, like water, you use much. It really is that simple. That's the whole game.
Okay, so now that we've got that golden rule down, let's actually put it to work. What if you want to say that two things have the same amount? Well, that's where this really simple and useful little structure as comes in.
And you're going to see our golden rule fits in here perfectly. For all those countable nouns we just talked about, the phrase is as many as. And for the uncountable ones, you guessed it, it's as much as. The rule stays completely consistent.
Let's see how this looks in a real sentence. We can count donuts, right? So we say, Michael ate as many donuts as Stanley. Simple. And you do the exact same thing for computers or phone calls or any other countable noun you can think of.
Now let's contrast that with our uncountable nouns. We can't count money or perfume directly, so we have to use as much as. Laura has as much money as Caroline. Kelly wears as much perfume as Pam. See how that rule just works every single time? It's pretty cool.
But, you know, in the real world, things aren't always equal. So what happens then? How do we talk about things that aren't the same? Well, the answer is incredibly easy.
And you're going to love this because it's so simple. You just add one little word right at the beginning, not. That turns our phrases into not as many as for countable things and not as much as for uncountable ones.
Here's exactly how it works. Money is uncountable, so we say Stanley does not have as much money as Michael. People are countable, so there are not as many people at Dwight's party. That golden rule is still our perfect guide.
Okay, so you have totally mastered the main rule now. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret. What if I told you there was a shortcut? A simple trick you could use anytime you're in a hurry or just feel a little unsure.
Just imagine having one single phrase that could replace both many and much, and it would be grammatically correct every single time. Sound pretty good? Well, guess what? It exists.
Okay, ready? That magic shortcut is the phrase, a lot of. These three little words are about to become your new secret weapon. Seriously, think of it like the Swiss Army knife for talking about quantities in English.
Just look at how incredibly useful this is. Instead of saying, I have many dogs, you can just as easily say, I have a lot of dogs. And instead of, I don't have much money, you can say, I don't have a lot of money. It works perfectly for both countable and uncountable nouns. It's such a fantastic tool to have in your back pocket.
So now that you're basically an expert on much and many, let's just quickly touch on a couple of other related words. This will really help round out your skills for comparing things.
So, when you want to say a quantity is smaller, our golden rule still applies. For countable things, you use the word fewer, like in fewer pencils. But for uncountable things, you use less, as in less time. This is another one of those common points of confusion that our golden rule just solves perfectly.
All right, let's wrap this all up with a super simple summary. If you can count it, use many. If you can't count it, use much. And if you're ever in doubt, a lot of is your foolproof shortcut that always works.
And there you have it. You've got the rules, you've seen the examples, and you've even got a great short count. All that confusion has been replaced by a really clear and simple system. So I guess the only question left is, are you ready to go out there and compare everything in English with total confidence?